You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 624. This is a Patreon exclusive. This is from a certain point of view, FACPOY, as we like to call it around here. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the science of Star Wars with my good friend, Tim Urban, who's with us right now. Tim, welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Albert.
This has been a long time coming. We'll probably get into some of the backstory here in a little bit, but I mentioned to you recently, we're both in scouting, and all our Patreon members know that I'm usually in the woods doing scouting stuff at any given weekend. But I was telling Tim not too long ago that I actually was on a course with his wife in scouting. And I remember distinctly at one point, we were up late at night working on some stuff, and we were talking about Star Wars or something. And she said, you know what? You really need to meet my husband, Tim. You guys have a lot in common. You guys would get along really well. And it had been years, it's been probably about 5 years since, and I've known who you were. You're a legend in the scouting community, of course. And I've always known who you were, but I've never actually worked with you until this past fall that we were together on some scouting course. And it was fun. I was like, oh man, I should have made contact with this dude much sooner. So thank you so much for being here and being on the show. I do want people to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So hold that for a second, and we'll come back to that. But thank you again for all the Patreon members, for all you guys, all the support that you show for this show. I want to say thank you to our now part of the tribe members, and that's Dante, Mike B, Danny, Brisk Bayless, Daz Davies, Jackson Abbott, Alex, Sharkman Dan, Uncle Leon, Josh C, Jacob, Reader Reborn, I've Got a Brad Feeling, and Paisley Rosengren. Thank you guys so much for that. And also thank you to our top tier, which is our Delusions of Grandeur tier. And this is Rod Racing, Steve, and Rob. So thank you again for your patronage. All of that goes right back into the show and certainly keeps everything running. A couple of programming notes. So I just wrapped up the Visions Volume 3 Part 1 episode. That's a Patreon exclusive that is out on audio and video now. If you guys are interested in following that or watching that one, I did break down the first 3 episodes, so I've got 2 more to do. I want to do the second group and then the third group. I'll try to get those out here in the next couple of weeks, but excited to talk about the rest of Visions because it was just a great ride as usual. And then coming up, we also have, so next week I will finally get around to Legacy of Vader Volume 2. We started that back. I think we did the first issue a couple of months ago, or it's been a few months now at this point, but I definitely want to get back into that and get caught up. And as I mentioned on the last show, I'd like to get caught up to the point where as those new issues come out, that content video is coming out within a day or two after the release. So look forward to getting caught up on that. It's been a really great series. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. On December 11th, Lauren and I will be breaking down Master of Evil by Adam Christopher. That is the latest novel by Adam Christopher. It takes place right after the events of Revenge of the Sith. It follows Darth Vader and his relationship, if you want to call it that, with Palpatine and all the other stuff that he's dealing with Padme and everything. So that'll be fun to break that down. We're going to do that old school Cantina cast. So that'll be probably a longer episode, maybe a couple episodes. We'll really get into a lot of the weeds and the details of that novel. And then after all of that, we are coming up fast approaching on December 18th, which is the 10th year anniversary of Force Awakens, which is just kind of crazy to think about. But I do have a Force Awakens 10 years later episode that I'm working on. And I do want to do some additional character spotlight and other type discussion shows and episodes around the Force Awakens, since it wasn't a movie that I didn't really get a chance to talk about on the show because I wasn't involved with the show at that point. So looking forward to finally talking about the Force Awakens in a way that I've never really had outside of just the conversations that would come up here from time to time on the show. So tune into all of that. Thank you guys again for all your support, the Patreon members. And thanks for anybody that's in the live stream tonight. I know we've got a few people that have already joined, so appreciate you guys in here. If you guys have any questions or comments, throw them out there. Rita Reborn and Alex are already in the chat and already making fun of me. So let's get back to you, Tim, because you are our guest. And I went out and said, look, man, this guy is like a bona fide NASA engineer. And then I thought, well, I don't know what his actual title is. I know what you do, but in your own words, why don't you kind of give us your background? What is exactly do you do, Dr. Vinkman?
Thanks, Albert. I am, as my title says there, Director of Texas Space Grant. So I am an aerospace engineer. That's what my degree is in. I started with precision orbit determination of some NASA satellites, which means getting down to centimeter level orbits, which you need to do in order to do remote sensing. So with several different NASA satellites I was working with, we had to get centimeter level orbits. I worked on the remote sensing for that, and they were looking at things like sea level rise. And then I moved to a laser satellite called IceSat that was looking at the melting of the ice caps.
Oh, okay.
So that was my early background. And then the whole time I was volunteering for Space Grant, which is, it's a national program. It's officially the National Space Grant College and Fellowship Program. And there's a space grant based in every single state, plus DC and Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
So I am the director for Texas, all of Texas. It's essentially NASA's outreach and education arm that exists in every state.
Yeah.
So we give out NASA internships. We do fellowships and scholarships for students. And then we put on programs where people can actually get hands-on work. As you watched one of our design challenge online events where the students got to work with NASA engineers on different, a lot of them were Artemis projects going back to the moon.
Yeah, I saw that. It was fascinating to see just what these guys were coming up with and trying to solve for, which, I mean, kudos to them. Like the amount of time that they spend and effort they into that. And I like the fact that it was a competition. Like there was a first place, a second place, and third place, and best group wins. So it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's really hard because you've got the lighting conditions, the dust conditions. Of course, there's no air. One of the projects was coming up with a drone for the moon. And it's like, well, you can't use the normal helicopter drone. What are you going to do? So.
Right. Yeah. There's no gravity. Well, I mean, beyond that, I mean, there's, and actually that feeds into some of the discussion that we're going to talk about when we get into repulsor lifts, because that is the one thing that I've been like, are we ever going to get there kind of thing? So, now you have been involved in a couple of NASA projects as well. Maybe, can you talk about those two, the two that I'm aware of, but maybe there's been others as well.
So yeah, with, the Artemis mission, that's the mission for NASA going back to the moon. Artemis is the sister of Apollo. So that's where that name comes from.
Got it. Yep. When are we supposed to get back to the moon?
February, March, April, that time frame, we're actually going to send the next astronauts. They're going to go around the moon like Apollo 10, 8. They're just going around the moon.
Okay.
So that's one mission. And then the other one, I got brought on to the Institute for Geophysics at the University of Texas at Austin. They were working on a mission to study Jupiter's moon, Europa. It's called the Europa Clipper. And because of my background with the remote sensing, they brought me on to help with the radar on that. And so I worked a tiny little bit on the spacecraft that is now headed out to Jupiter. It'll get there in 2030 and keep flying around Europa.
Wow. So the Artemis project, though, that is not, is there like another leg where we'll actually put a man on the moon again? Or is it, this is the first, is it really just one and done kind of thing?
Yes. No. Yeah. This is Artemis 2. It's going around the moon. Artemis 3 is supposed to land. That'll be in 3 or 4 years, probably. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we'll start a gateway space station around the moon.
What does that mean?
Constructed. So like we have our space station around the Earth.
It's going to be orbiting the moon.
It's going to be orbiting the moon in a long halo orbit, meaning it's going up and down around. It'll be very close to the moon sometimes, but then take, a few weeks to go around the moon.
Is that orbit done intentionally so that it's closer to Earth at some point as well? Or is it, or what's the science behind that?
It's not closer to Earth. It's close to the moon for a short period where they can come and go. But then most of it, they're able to be in contact with the South Pole of the moon, which is where we want to land because that's where the water is.
Oh, okay.
So we want to use the water for rocket fuel, for breathing, obviously. Mm-hmm. So that's the plan, is to get that gateway space station in orbit, and that'll be the gateway not only to the moon, then hopefully eventually a jumping off point to Mars.
Yeah. Okay. And then for the for Clipper, that's another thing we have in common. Like, I don't know if this is your favorite moon, but we talked about this when we were on course. Like I've always been infatuated like with Europa simply because of 2010, the books by Arthur C. Clarke. But yeah, it's fascinating that that's the moon that we've chosen. And is that solely because of the amount of water or potential water content that's there? I mean, I guess we know that there's water there now. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We know that there's water there. There's actually more water there than there is on Earth.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the primary missions is to see how habitable Europa is for life. If it is conducive to life. With the radar, we're going to measure how thick the ice sheet is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's somewhere between 3 and 30 kilometers thick.
It's quite a range. Depending on where you are.
Yeah. But we'll be able to measure that once we get there in 2030 and start doing flybys of the moon.
And that's assuming that we're all still around, after AI is taken over in 2027. But, I'm being hopeful and thinking that that we'll be able to, see all that in 2030. All right. So let's get into your Star Wars story. Cause, again, you're a great person to hang around with just in person. You're a great scout. You're a great scientist, but you actually got some chops under you. Like you shared a photo, and I don't know if you knew I was going to bring this up, but you shared a photo of yourself. I think it was like circa 77, 78 where your dad had made you like this custom R2-D2 costume. And I remember when I saw it, when you showed me the picture, I was like, I don't think that's something that was ever released. And then I know you did the history. You went back and asked your dad, and it turned out, yeah, he designed it and all that stuff. But all that to say is you've been a Star Wars fan for quite a long time. And I know you're into the movies and the books and a lot of other things. But what is your Star Wars story? How did you get into Star Wars? And what kind of an impact on your life has that made over the years? So,
yeah, we haven't talked about this yet, how I got into it. So I did get to see it. I was 6 3/4 in May 1977. Mm-hmm. I saw New Hope in the downtown Downers Grove Tivoli Theater.
That's up in Chicago?
In Chicago area, yes.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember going there and just being blown away, watching it and coming out thinking this is the greatest thing ever. Part of that reason was because a year earlier in 76, that's when Viking landed on Mars. Mm. And I grew up reading about all the Apollo missions. Mm. I was born just a few weeks after Apollo 11 landed. So I didn't really get to see any of that. I just read about it. But then seeing a Viking land on Mars and those pictures was amazing.
Yeah.
And then a year later, George Lucas shows us other planets.
Right.
And you can walk around. And that was just incredible. I knew that's what I wanted to get into. I loved space from then on, I'd say.
So was it truly Star Wars that kind of did it? Or do you think it was just a combination of both and that really was the accelerant for you?
I think it was a combination of both. Yeah, because then you got Voyager 1 and 2 going out and exploring the solar system. Mm-hmm. But I was solid Star Wars fan. I've still got my first issues of Bantha Tracks.
The first those are fanzine. High price items now.
Yeah. I've got, I had the costume, as you said, R2-D2 costume. And let's see what else. And I was all in on the action figures. Which you still have. Like you showed me some pictures of the stuff that you got, and it's like in really great condition still, which I'm very envious of. I still have a lot of them. I still have a lot of the boxes too, which is...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then let's see, 80, 82, 83. There was, not enough Star Wars to keep my attention.
Right. After Jedi?
Started watching Doctor Who.
You're also a Star Trek fan, though, too, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Star Trek,
yeah. My dad grew up with the original series, so he would always watch the reruns with me.
Yep.
So I love Star Trek, but I love Star Wars more. I just wanted more, needed more.
Yes. Yeah, we refer to those as the Dark Ages because there really wasn't a lot between 84 and 90.
Yeah, and that's when I was a teenager, and Ewoks weren't as cool. So I kind of didn't do as much collecting. And then when I got to college, that's when I discovered other people that had similar interests. And there was this new thing called email and bulletin boards. And I could get the holiday special.
Right.
I could
bootleg.
Start buying things. I got back into comics. I got the first set of Dark Horse that came out then.
Is it the Archie Good ones? Or are you talking about the...
This was about 1990.
Yeah, so they came out with there was the Archie Goodwin stuff, which was the comic strip stuff that they pulled into Dark Horse, and then there was the actual Dark Horse like Star Wars comics that they were doing as well in that time.
Okay, because then I got a copy of the old like 1 through 35 Marvel comics.
Yep,
I got those, but those were okay. I still wanted the figures, so I started digging. All right, what don't I have? What don't I have? Holy Grail for me was the remote control Jawa Sandcrawler.
Oh yeah,
I finally found one of those when I was in college, and
oh wow, do you still have it?
I've still got it now. Yeah.
Oh wow, does it work?
I haven't put batteries in a while. I hope it does. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a hard. I had that one, and I had the remote R2D2 as well. Like from, I don't know, it might have been like 79 or so, and it was terrible because it only had like one button to go forward, and it just kind of veered off to the side, and you'd have to reset it and push it off to go again.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when my sons were born, we started getting back into all of it again. We got one of those R2D2s that you could talk to.
I don't think I saw those.
Oh, yeah. You could talk to it and it would talk back.
Mm-hmm.
So we played with that for a while.
And are you kids into Star Wars as well?
Not as much as I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as much. Yeah. They've got their own things.
Yeah. I've talked about it on the show too. My kids are similar. It almost feels like dad's constantly forcing them to watch Star Wars. It's nothing they've actually gone organically and decided to watch. I've got one that's kind of interested and gets it now. It took a while to get there, but otherwise they've got their own things. The only thing they really did connect with was the sequel trilogy, because my kids are a little bit younger than yours. And that came out when, during their formative years of 5 and 6 when The Force Awakens came out. And so, yeah, they were really into all of, Kylo Ren and Finn and Poe and Rey and all that stuff. That is their trilogy, bar none. But beyond that, it's been hard to get them into it. So I've talked a lot about why, though, on the show, too.
Yeah, my older son is more into sci-fi than my younger son.
Yeah.
His favorite series is Andor. So.
Oh, yeah. Well. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pick a favorite series, I mean,
he's got good taste. Yeah.
He's got it. Yeah. Got it from his dad there. How were you with the, what about when the prequel trilogy came out? How far did you go to get stand in line to buy tickets? Did you do the overnight camping thing? What was that like for you growing up? Because you were probably still in college, I guess, at that point, right?
That'd
have been 99.
Remind me, 99. I was here. Yeah. I was married, no kids yet. I was working on my dissertation, so the outside world was kind of oblivious. I was oblivious to the outside world. I had blinders on. Yeah. So I remember I did see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Star Wars. It's the first one in 15 years, so I was excited.
Yeah. Those were crazy times when those came back out, and then of course we did it all again here with The Force Awakens. So
yeah, I do remember one of my first taglines in my email at college was to finish my dissertation before the next Star Wars movie comes out. And this was back in 93 when it wasn't even a gleam in anyone's eye. It was just kind of a joke.
Right.
And then it got closer and closer. So I had to take that out because I didn't make it.
All right. Yeah, I can see that. You're like, oh crap, this is really going to happen. I need to update my email signature.
Yeah. I graduated in 2000, so I was close.
Yeah. Off by about a year. Well, that's awesome, man. I want to talk about, so let's get to the main part of the show here. Let's talk about the science of Star Wars. And so I kind of just grabbed a couple things that I wanted to discuss. And there are things that I've always talked about and thought about. There was actually someone, he's never been on this show. He's been on my other podcast that I used to do called The Basement. And he's also a rocket engineer of some sort. I'll have to get you guys connected, but he's a Star Wars, Star Trek fan as well. And he's been on, and we've talked about a couple things, but never ever been solely focused on Star Wars. I always, similar to I guess everybody, the science of Star Wars is always fascinating. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I started to realize, man, some of this stuff just feels like it's really out of reach, and I may never actually see it come to happen or fruition. And then there's other things that feel like, okay, we're not too far off from this actually happening now. I mean, I wouldn't have said that, of course, back in 77 or even in the 90s, but in the last 10, 15 years, a lot of this stuff really has kind of accelerated. But before we get into that, I do have to ask you, I've already asked you this before, but I want you to tell our audience now, the whole Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. It never bothered me ever until again, when I was later in life and someone said, that you really can't measure time in the way they did that. And I thought, what are you talking about? And of course, since then, there's all kinds of videos that have been out there. This did get addressed in the Solo movie. So I wanted your thoughts, I guess, on, did it ever bother you when Solo first said that he made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs? And then how did you grapple with that, if it was contentious for you? And then how did you feel about the explanation that they gave us in Solo? Because it feels like it's not really a technical solution or a explanation, but it definitely can work if you, I don't know, maybe there's some suspension of disbelief in some regards, but I don't know. What are your thoughts as a professional? How do you feel about the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs?
Yes. So I think even as a 6-7-year-old, I knew parsec was a unit of distance, but I just blew it off as you saw Obi-Wan's look, like, oh yeah, he's just making something up. But I mean, yeah, it did bother me a little bit, but not enough to worry about. Yeah, at that age. Later on, I think it bothered me more that they were going to try to retcon it. But I did like the retcon that they did in Solo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, if you go to the Minotaur's Labyrinth and you say you completed it in 12 days, that makes sense. Or if you say I completed it in 12 skeins of yarn or something, that's a distance.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it did make sense the way they did it, and I accept it. Yeah.
I don't remember the whole story on that. I'm sure one of our listeners does, but where Lucas got all that and how he came about it. He had a number of people that he consulted when he was writing this, and I think that's why we really got some really cool, like, science. At the time, it was always labeled, Star Wars was always labeled as science fantasy and not as much science fiction. Star Trek was more science fiction, but over the years, as we've, science has advanced and our knowledge of the universe and physics and all that is advanced, we're starting to realize that, okay, maybe some of this really isn't science fantasy. It actually is more science fiction. It may be theoretical at this point, but it's still within the realm of being plausible if we have the right kind of resources and all that. And so that's really what I wanted to get into. I want to talk about this. I want to start with kind of hyperspace. I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here because I do have repulsor lists in here, but I don't know. It's probably be a short conversation. But the idea of hyperspace travel, I mean, I guess I do follow this quite a bit. I know you like nerd out on YouTube videos whenever I can. There's some great scientists out there like Neil Tyson deGrasse and who's the guy from England, Jamie, somebody, I forget his name. But there are a number of guys out there that these theoretical astrophysicists, and they come up with really cool explanations. But the idea of being able to travel long distances in space does feel like it's outside the realm of anything that I'll ever see in my lifetime. But I wanted your thoughts, I guess, on, what was that like seeing hyperspace for the first time when the Millennium Falcon jumped into it? How much longer do you think it's going to be? Is there anything that that we don't in terms of before we'll actually be able to see speed or being able to travel? I'm trying to avoid saying faster than light because that's not really what we're trying to do here. But wormholes, all the other type of alternative space travel, any of that within the realm of possibility here right now, and why or why not?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head saying it's not faster than light. We can't break the laws of physics, but we can, try to find wormholes or actually get a warp bubble to move us around. Problem right now, I think, is the energy required is several suns worth, theoretically.
Yeah. Right.
So that's going to be the kicker. But yeah, it would be great to travel like that. The first time I saw that, of course, just
right.
Blown away. This is what faster than light travel looks like.
Exactly. Yeah. And the whole thing that the star field, when you'd see the stars suddenly bend, and, that's not something that technically, correct me if I'm wrong, we can't really, you can bend light, but you can't stretch it. And so it's more of a visual thing than anything else. But the idea of a wormhole, which I think is what Star Wars hyperspace was eventually kind of settled in on. It wasn't necessarily faster than light. It was a wormhole, a pathway that was mapped out that would allow people to travel distances quicker than quote the speed of light. That seems to be getting a lot more traction. Like, it feels like, more and more people are coming around to, or at least there's more discoveries that lend themselves to that being more of a, again, theoretically plausible rather than there's just no way. Like, it's fantasy. I think there's people out there that really start believing that there might be a way that this actually works or a way to make that. Now, to your point, I think a lot of the problems that we have with most of the things that I have on my list is energy. We just don't have the energy sources to do some of these things. And so that does feel like it falls into the realm of fantasy more than fiction. But I mean, outside of atomic energy, I mean, what else would we even have at this point, or are we thinking about using to try to accomplish some of these things?
Yeah, fusion is very close. It's always 30 years away. It's been 30 years away for the past 60 years.
That's true.
Might be a little closer now. But of course, if you can convert matter into energy, that's a whole lot of energy you can get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
For wormholes, I don't know. You'd have to find a pot of Purgill or something, follow them.
Yeah, Purgill. That's a good one. There's nothing wrong with Purgill. I'm very defensive of Purgill and what they do. The idea though, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I remember distinctly in college that I don't one of my science classes or whatever, I remember the professor saying, yeah, we're just like a couple years away from like fusion. Like it's just right around the corner. And then, I mean, seems like it's been a running joke, but do you have any insight into why? Like, I've actually never looked into the reason why we just can't seem to pull it off. Is it just the amount of, is it the risk that's involved, or the technology itself that's limiting? What is it that why are we still, pushing or moving the goalpost on fusion?
I think, well, everything comes down to skill and will, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the skill. It's the will, the political will, the scientific will, the capital. We need the funds to do it.
Yeah.
To get it done.
So we need an alien invasion for us to all get together and finally say, let's just do this.
Probably. Yeah. And I think you mentioned, science fantasy versus science fiction. I think I've got a good sense of suspension of disbelief for whatever I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
And I would definitely agree that Star Wars seems like more fantasy than Star Trek. Star Trek things are coming true. You've got tricorders, and our phones are essentially little communicators.
Yeah.
But yeah, Star Wars definitely has those fantasy elements that we can't really create, like kyber crystals. I know we'll get to that later, but that would be a great thing if we could find them, but I don't know if we will.
We just need to find Ilum, and if we find that planet, then we got a whole bunch of them there. Let me see, what else did I want to talk about on. Speaking of, I just heard, I think it was yesterday, that Voyager is officially one light day away from when it launched. So
wow,
yeah, not a light year. It's got a long way to go before it's a light year. But a light day. And to think about, that thing launched, what was it, 79? What did Voyager launch?
77 or 8, I think.
78, 79, somewhere around there. But yeah, the fact that it's been traveling for so long and it's just now hitting that 1 light year is crazy to think about, because it just kind of speaks to the expansiveness of space and how large it truly is. And so when you think about from that perspective, we're so far away before we could even do our closest star is several, I don't even know how many light years away it is, but it's so far. It feels like it's just so far out there and far away from us being able to get to it anytime soon. What did you find on that? Was it 78?
77. Yeah.
77.
4 months after A New Hope. Yeah.
4 months after A New Hope?
Yeah. Just built on my science fiction foundation right. To get to where I'm at.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So we've got a long way to go. So, this is space travel. Until we find alternative energies, like you said, where there's a will, there's a possibility in fusion, but we just don't seem to be able to kind of get together as a species and say, look, this is better for us. I'm sure there'll be outside factors that drive us to that point, or money. It's probably one of the two, because it's usually what drives everything, but maybe at some point we'll see that one. Okay, so let's move to repulsor lift technology, because this is the one that I've always been fascinated with. And I thought, okay, surely this is something that we could be doing very soon. This is me as a kid, by the way, not me as now. Because it makes sense, right? You have like an anti-gravity device and it lifts it up, and all the vehicles are that way. They use it for propulsion in Star Wars. It's used for a couple of different other things that escaping me right now. But I had never really looked into this, honestly. Like, I was like, oh, okay, surely we've made advancements in technology, and we're probably like a year away from like repulsor lift. And as I started getting into my own like layman research, it seems like this is one of those things that is so far out there. Like we'll probably be able to travel through a wormhole before we get to any kind of repulsor lift, because the problem is you have to solve with some kind of an anti-gravity device, which it feels like is just mind bending for people to even kind of conceptualize. But what are your thoughts on that? Am I wrong here in that being something that's just so far out there?
I would say we're closer to that than interstellar travel.
Okay.
If you can find some good room temperature superconductors,
sure,
go through it that way. Yeah.
Right. Like at the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah. Everything just, everything can just hover that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's not true anti-gravity. It's floating on the magnetic field. Kind of cheap.
But what if you don't have a magnetic field? That's in Star Wars, right? The repulsor lifts work, whether they're on a planet or whether they're on a moon. They can work in every kind of environment when there's a lack of gravity as well. And that seems like, okay, so if there's not a lack of gravity, then how do these stinking things work, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can find some dark matter, harness that, and figure out how to put it to work.
Well, and that's the problem. Like, at least again, from my little research that I did here, it seemed like one of the main things that was missing is we don't have a certain, again, energy source or matter that we need in order to kind of change gravity or be, I guess, anti-gravity in some way. I think like you said, there's theories out there of like, some of this stuff like antimatter. I don't know if that's even theoretical. I think at one point it was, and now I think there's people out there saying that it does exist in some form.
We've got antimatter. Yeah.
We got it now. Okay. Good. Where is it at? Do we actually have it, or do we know that it exists out there? Because I remember seeing when it was announced that, okay, it's out there, but it was like, because this pattern looks different than this pattern, then that looks like antimatter, or that is antimatter, but we can't create it, can we?
Oh yeah, we've created it, but not a whole lot. Humans have created a few nanograms.
Nanograms. Wow.
Yeah. Not a whole lot.
And I remember too, like back in, this might've been in high school when I was nerding out on this stuff. I remember hearing at the time that if we ever tried to create it, like if it went wrong, right, we'd open up like a black hole or something, and the whole world would get sucked into it. And I don't know if that was ever actually true or not, or whether, how we did it. I'm sure this has to do with the collider, maybe, I guess, is where we created that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they don't have they have a very short half-life.
Okay. So we can't
so they're created and then disintegrate right away.
Even create it and sustain. It doesn't sustain, it dissipates immediately.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't work well for our repulsor lift technology. And the cool thing was, you see like Luke's speeder, his land speeder. That's our first kind of, if I'm not mistaken, that is the first time we actually see some kind of repulsor lift technology. And I remember when I had my land speeder from like 78, do you remember that? It had like little wheels and they were kind of springy.
Yes.
And so when you push it, it kind of looked like it was floating because they'd move the wheels center to as close to the middle as possible. So unless you were like eye level, that sucker looked like it was floating, and it had a little bit of movement because of the spongy springs in there. It was a really neat concept the way they designed that. But that was our first look into repulsor technology. And I love the fact that, it would just park and, it would stay parked even though the engine technically wasn't running. It was very quiet compared to like, an engine or what we got from like the pod racers later on in episode 1. So really amazing tech, but it just seems like, I don't know if we'd ever actually get there though, without what we talked about. Yeah,
I'm not sure. We really need anti-gravity somehow to make those work.
And that is the challenge on those. All right. Well, I'm kind of sad about that one. I was really hoping that we were getting closer to that one, and it doesn't seem like we're there yet. All right, let's get into the warfare of stuff. So let's get into blasters. First off, do you have a favorite Star Wars blaster?
Definitely Han Solo's.
The DL-44?
Yes.
Yeah. So many of those blasters too, from Star Wars were just recreated from old weapons, like real weapons. When we got to like episode 1, some of those were, created on their own. They're brand new because we had, better technology and all that stuff. And certainly by the time we got to the sequel trilogy, a lot of those weapons look nothing like, our I guess I wouldn't say modern day weapons, but weapons of old. But definitely during that first trilogy, a lot of those weapons are right from history. I think the Stormtroopers had one. I'm going to botch all this, so I'm not even talk about it. But the point is, a lot of those were created, and so I think that's why, you know, when I think about my favorite weapons, like the DL-44 stands out. It's probably the most recognizable next to the Stormtrooper rifle. You know, maybe next to the bowcaster as well, right? Probably those three.
Yeah, Chewie was a cool weapon too.
Yeah, I mean that was really cool. But like Leia's sporting blaster that she has in that opening scene, that's lifted from, you know, an old weapon that was out there, I think during World War I or World War II. But they are all they to me it feels like those resonate with this, not because I'm old, but just they look more grounded. Like they seem more familiar to me. Even like Mando's. Mando's is another weapon that they took for his two blasters. They took those from like an old German pistol, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, I would agree. DL-44 probably up there in terms of like really iconic weapons, and you can't. I mean, it's also the sound of it when that thing fires. It's just, you know, you can't miss. You know who's shooting that. You know what kind of weapon's firing whenever it goes off. It's just got a very unique sound when it fires. But what are our limitations? Like, you know, I'm looking at blaster technology, and it seems to all stem from like our lack of having actual blaster technology, or what we do have for like laser blasts seems to be, again, around the amount of energy that it takes to actually create a blaster bolt.
It is. Yeah. If you want to sustain something like plasma, you need a lot of energy to create it, and then even more to propel it.
And I saw that we've tried a couple different things. I mean, there's like plasma bolts, but, you know, without a way to contain the plasma, it just kind of goes everywhere. So it doesn't, you know, it's hot enough, and it certainly could do what we want it to do. And then the other thing too is like our blaster technology, or I keep saying blaster because that's Star Wars, but our laser blast technology right now, like I think we have those on military grade like ships. They're massive. You know, the beam is continuous. It's not like a small beam that fires. It's like one long beam. And then the other thing that seems kind of disappointing when I was looking at it, it's like, man, this is really breaking my heart, is we can't see the lasers. Like most of the lasers that we have now, they're just invisible to our naked eyes. So, you know, Lucas comes out and toys us with these blasters that shoot, you know, red and green colors. And, you know, what's the science behind that? Why are some red, some green? They're in short bursts. They're able to like blow holes in walls and melt metal, and depending on how powerful they are. Yeah, it feels like, you know, this is another one that it feels like we're really far away from actually doing.
Yeah. I mean, they're so iconic, the visuals and the sound. Anything we create is not going to have that same impact, unfortunately.
I'm hoping we can, though.
Of course, after the fact, you'll make the blaster go.
Right. After they do it, someone will come back and say, okay, now we need to actually add the sound effect to it because it's only the right thing to do. The other problem that I wouldn't say a problem, but the other thing that was heartbreaking for me as I got older and learned more about like lasers, a laser fires at the speed of light, which is what, 186,000 miles per hour, right? But when you look at Star Wars, those blaster bolts fire way slower than 186,000. I mean, there was I don't know if were you a big fan of Mythbusters? Did you ever see the Star Wars stuff that they did?
I can't recall if I did or not.
So they had 2 episodes of Mythbusters that were focused around Star Wars technology, similar to what we're doing, but they were actually on different topic. They talked about this. They had one where does the higher ground really give you an advantage, and so they put that to the test, and it's really fascinating stuff. I miss those guys, and I miss that show. But they actually did one on, can you dodge a blaster bolt from Star Wars? Because there were people that, you know, they dodge, especially like who shot first, right? Between Greedo and Han Solo. I mean, he kind of moves off to the side and he's able to dodge this blaster bolt that's firing at this. Technically, should be firing at the speed of light. But it's really fascinating what they did. They actually took the video and they, you know, whatever they did, I think it was Jamie, one of the guys, tried to determine how fast the bolts fire in Star Wars. Want to take a guess as to how fast those things fire?
Probably slower than a bullet, right?
130 miles per hour. That's it. That's as fast as they go. Like no other blasters went any faster. And part of it we got to think about too is like, visually, Lucas was trying to give us something to see, right? And so if we went faster than light, we would never see the battle. It would look very boring. We'd see nothing whatsoever. So I get all that, but the fact that it was funny that I think about 135 was the average speed that the blasters were shooting in. So they actually put a cannon out there and they found a way to shoot something at 135 miles. And of course, somebody got 40 feet away and they were trying to shoot them to see if they could actually dodge the bullets or the blasts. And it's still too fast, I think, to dodge it, because by the time it hits you, your body is now reacting at 130 miles per hour, but it is way slower than 186,000 miles an hour, which is really what blaster bolts should be firing at. So
I guess that explains why stormtroopers can't hit anything.
That might be it, actually. Which is funny too, because when they were doing their tests, they had a stormtrooper like cutout, and they were trying to shoot that stormtrooper. And the first tests they were just flying everywhere. They were not even going in the right direction, right? And I thought, well, this is very appropriate since the stormtroopers can't hit worth anything here. So, all right, so let's take it up a notch though, and let's talk about. We've already talked about the limitations of a blaster being energy, but then you get into like really the fantasy part of Star Wars when we talk about like the Death Star and the amount of energy. And this is what you mentioned earlier, like we would need something like it's kind of mind blowing to think that a Kyber crystal has enough energy to power a lightsaber, which we'll talk about in a second. But then the idea that you have a weapon like a Death Star that has that much energy to blow up an entire planet. I've got some numbers here, but I guess I don't know. As you're watching, I know you have an affinity for like planets and moons and the geology of them all. But when that Death Star blew up that planet, is that really what it would look like? Because you look at part 4, it's like glitter almost. I mean, it's obliterated into glitter. And then we get to the Starkiller base and what it did to when we get to Return of the Jedi and what it does to that when they blow up that Death Star, that part of it falls down, and so it wasn't obliterated into billions of particles or atomized in some way. I don't know. When you saw that as a kid, or you look at that now, is that really what would happen if we actually had enough energy to blow up a planet like that?
As a kid, I just thought it was cool. I mean, of course,
visually, yeah,
visually, that was impressive. Not a good thing to blow up a planet, but it was a cool special effect, definitely. And I believed it. Yeah. Thinking about it now, though, I mean, to get enough energy to destroy a planet, you probably have to vaporize the whole thing, in which case the Death Star would be caught in that blast, too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You couldn't be that close and try to vaporize the planet. They'd have to do it from pretty far away. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it would look just like they've depicted it. I think more of like Rogue One, right? And what the Death Star was doing to that planet, where it was just kind of slowly rupturing it. And I think if I'm not mistaken, by the time they get to when they blow up Alderaan, that is like the full, like they didn't use all the power when they attacked, that planet, Scarif or whatever. I don't think that was the planet. I think that was whatever it was. But when they used only some of the power there. And then when they get to Alderaan, they use the full blast of it. And that's why it obliterates it. If I remember that correctly anyways. Right. Yeah. I think, the first test in Rogue One, that probably looked pretty accurate, I would say.
Yeah.
More of almost like a natural disaster, a tidal wave combined with sandstorm coming right at them. Mm-hmm. Some sort of big beam vaporizing all the rock along the way.
That Death Star too, I think it's like 75 kilometers in diameter in terms of the size. So it was pretty small. I mean, it's pretty big. I don't know if not bigger than a moon.
That's no moon.
I was setting you up for that one, so you're welcome. But I was looking into like whether or not there's anything out there. Like I remember not too long ago watching something on, again, another one of these YouTube channels where there was these quasars, like the amount of the power that a quasar emits. I think that's when two black holes come together or two solar systems? I forget. Something comes together and it creates this amount of energy. And at one point we were worried because we were like, Earth was in line or earshot of like a quasar, like we were in a direct fire one. I think at some point we thought we were, but that has a lot of energy. But even then I've seen that you'd have to be pretty close for a quasar to actually do any kind of impact. Like, and by close, I mean within like 1 light year away, which is still pretty far. So we're not safe. But then I got into this whole thing about gamma ray bursts, and that seems like it is the one thing that is the closest that we would have, because a gamma ray burst is like, I don't know, like a trillion of our suns in terms of power. And so if you have a planet that's within just a few, a light year away from that, certainly as close as the Death Star was to like Alderaan, I mean, it's done. That would absolutely vaporize a planet and just send it into like particles and atoms at that point.
Yeah, I think I agree. Gamma radiation would obliterate whatever's in the way.
So we're nowhere close to a Death Star.
No.
We're not even close to like blaster technology.
We're not close to a blaster. Yeah, don't worry about the Death Star until we find those kyber crystals.
Yeah. Well, and that's where it all kind of, Star Wars, a lot of this hangs on the fact that unless these kyber crystals, I mean, the more we talk about it, the more you realize like, wow, how do they have that much energy in them? Like, it feels like you wouldn't even be able, I mean, they're just picking these up and, they send out kids to Ilum. And the kids go out and they get, they're picked by their crystals and they come home and they got it and they just stick it in there. It's like non-lethal. It's, what I mean? It's like completely safe. And yet the amount of power that exists in these things is absolutely got to be on the realm of fantasy. Like, I don't understand how anything that small could harness that much power. And then it really kind of begs the question of like, how big were the kyber crystals that they used in the Death Star? I mean, there's a whole story with Rebels and Saw Gerrera when he's hauling that around, he finds it. But yeah, I mean, it feels like we do definitely need kyber crystals or some other energy source. Is that dark matter again? Is there anything out there that we would even have outside of like fusion technology that would, like, is anything even theoretical that we even are thinking about right now?
Yeah, not that I know of. Fusion will give us the most power, as far as I know. I think someone wrote in the comments, just make a Dyson sphere. That would capture all the energy from the sun. And that would work for an energy source. But how do you channel that into even a blaster or a lightsaber? That's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, you got to have the capacitors to store it. I mean, that's what Starkiller essentially was. And thinking about that too, like Starkiller base, the way you didn't need kyber crystals because it was able to absorb the power of a sun. But even still, I mean, that'd have to be one massive sun. If you think about the amount of energy you need to actually blow up a planet, it'd have to be like millions of suns, and not just one, right?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know what a kyber crystal is. That's part of the fantasy of Star Wars. It's the suspension of disbelief that I'll believe in.
Right.
Make the universe work.
Give them a pass on that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't find anything else in terms of like where else we could even have like power of that magnitude, as Admiral Akbar says. All right, let's talk about lightsabers real quick too. So lightsabers seem like they fit all the same problems, but I guess I'm not going to ask you your favorite lightsaber yet, because I actually have a force lightning round question that I want to ask you later that has to do with lightsabers. So I'll save that. But I guess what was your experience growing up as a kid with lightsabers? Was it pretty much anything you picked up as a stick bat to use? And then, tell me more about, are we even close to having lightsabers?
Yeah, I think anything we picked up was not a gun. It was a lightsaber.
Yes.
So we'd, of course, have lightsaber battles and cut people's limbs off and do the whole Star Wars story with just a tree stick or a bat or whatever it was.
Yeah. Similar to Skeleton Crew. I don't know if you watched that, where they were kind of playing out the, oh, it cut my arm off and he was bleeding and all that stuff. So yeah, that was it. That's why I love that scene so much, because that was us growing up. But please, no, go on.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then I love the video you sent with the proto lightsaber development.
Yeah. Yeah. So those guys, what was the name of that company, of those? What's that group that was called? I don't remember what they.
That was
Hacksmith Industries.
Hacksmith. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you've not seen that video, maybe I'll throw a link in the show notes at some point, but there's a YouTube, a couple of YouTube videos out there from a company called Hacksmith Industries. And they started the journey of trying to create a real lightsaber. I want to say almost like 10 years ago now. It's been a while. And it's really neat to kind of see the evolution of it, because going back to Legends, back in Legends, before kyber crystals were powering lightsabers, they were attached to like a proto pack in the back, similar to what these guys did. They have a backpack that supplied the energy. They had a cord that went to the lightsaber hilt. And then eventually, as technology got better, both in Star Wars Legends and in real life, they were able to put the energy, a lot of the energy, get rid of the backpack and just kind of use it there on a shorter, in the hilt itself. But they've actually come a long way now, where they've got this lightsaber that I believe it uses plasma energy is what they're using.
It was natural gas and oxygen.
Natural gas and oxygen, which allows them to get up to
plasma. Temperatures.
Yeah, right. To high temperatures to melt things. And there's some great videos of them actually using it to melt doors. And, I don't know, they melt just about everything. I think at one point they cut a stormtrooper in half and that sort of thing, but it's still not there in terms of like how quickly things melt. And so it's really neat. I think they're working on like miniature lightsabers now. I think that's their next project. They're trying to look more of a handheld thing. But it, again, the problems here, I mean, I guess what are the problems that you see with lightsabers and our inability to actually create one? And do we even need to create one? Like, why would we create one at this point? Maybe it's to deflect blaster bolts. I don't know.
It's for a different age. Yes, definitely.
Oh, right. More civilized
age. Lightsabers are part of the fantasy part of Star Wars. I like to think of it like if a lightsaber is a microwave oven, Hacksmith has created a toaster oven. It does the same thing, but completely different method.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to get to the actual lightsaber until we come up with kyber crystals.
Yep.
What they've done, though, is pretty cool because they get the plasma beam to turn on and off. It looks like a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Just doesn't cut quite like one.
Yep. It's still not there. Because of the I guess, I mean, it'd have to get hotter, right? I mean, I don't remember the temperature that they have that thing at, but I
think it's 4,000 degrees. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it'll cut through steel, but it still takes a while.
Yeah. And we're used to lightsabers just, cutting right through something instantly. So what temperature is that at?
Qui-Gon at the beginning of Phantom Menace, just sticking it in and slowly going around to cut open the door.
So I don't know. I wonder if anybody's done the math to say, look, how hot do we need to get something in order to use or to be able to cut through things as easily as a lightsaber? Feels like it'd almost be double that. I don't know, 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which just seems, again, ridiculous and so far out there. But we've got the lack of power, which is something that holds us back. In Star Wars, the idea that two lightsabers are coming together and they're stopping, like there's something physically keeping them from being able to cross. That seems absolute fantasy to me, because if they truly are light, they would just kind of go through each other, right?
Probably, yeah. I mean, unless the photons were compressed so densely that they were essentially a solid beam of light.
Oh. Hey, whatever, man. We're just shooting from the hip here now on this stuff. But that was the one thing. And then, we always see
8-year-old brain is working here.
Right, exactly. The idea that not only did they stop, but then when they would hit, they would make that sound. And then visually, Lucas would flash. If you notice, he'd flash like a white light onto the screen, and suddenly it was like, wow, But I mean, that sound from Ben Burt is so iconic as well. We talked about the blasters early and the DL-44s and just all the blasters really, but most of the sound effects, but especially the Star Wars lightsaber, is something that you hear, kids do today. It's, somebody makes that sound and it's very recognizable. You've seen Ewan McGregor when he's been filming, all the actors really, they always have to tell him, hey, stop making the noise. Like, we can see your mouth moving and it's getting in the way, but it's just so iconic to kind of hear that sound.
Yeah.
The other thing that I always saw was challenging too was that it does have like a finite length. I've seen some of these. We talked about lasers earlier, blaster bolts, laser bolts, whatever, and how that is just one continuous stream. But being able to kind of pull that down, keep it a certain length, especially like in Star Wars too. During Legends, we had, there were lightsabers that had an ability, you could adjust the beam on it. You can make it smaller or longer. I think that was in. What was that book that came out? I Shadow of the Mind's Eye. Do you remember reading that?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
That was the first one that came out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that was supposed to be a TV show, written as a TV show and all that. So we've never actually talked about it that in the show, as a matter of fact. But I remember in that book and I was like, literally 8 years old when I read that book. But I remember distinctly in there that there was something on there where he could like change the width, or maybe it was the height now of the lightsaber. And I thought, oh my God, this is incredible. We're going to see this in Empire, or maybe Jedi. And we never saw it again. But the point being that you've got with a lightsaber, you've got a finite length of the blade itself. And that seems to kind of bend the laws of physics as we know it today, because it feels like that would just kind of go on forever. I mean, you'd have this infinite thing of laser just kind of flying around.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what would make it stop at a certain point. Need something to reflect the light back, but then, yeah. Again, suspension of disbelief. I'll go with that. Yeah.
It's a big suspension of disbelief on that one. So again, like I said, it's kyber crystals. Where are you? We need you. So much of this would be solved if we just had some type of energy source that was able to do these things. So the Force. Tell me, did you have, as a kid, do you have any Force stories? I've told mine before on the show, and if you don't, I can tell you what mine is if that helps. But do you have any stories of you trying to use the Force as a kid?
I do not really. I didn't try to use the Force. What we did do, my best friend and I used to line up all my Star Wars figures. Mm-hmm. And then from across the room, we try to shoot them down with rubber bands.
Yeah.
We'd each take a few. And Darth Vader always had the most Force because we could never shoot him down.
Was it because he had the cape that was keeping him from falling over?
I don't know.
The heaviest?
Yeah. We just said, he's got the Force. So he was always one of the last ones to go.
I'm sure it's because of that figure. I mean, it's a pretty husky figure, right? It had the cape on it, the vinyl cape with it. It had the biggest probably feet. So maybe that gave it more.
Yeah.
I'm making stuff up again. I have no idea, but it's got to be a reason why. Maybe it is the Force. I don't know. Maybe
it was the Force. Yeah,
it's got to be the Force. I've told a story before that I used to line up items. So I would take I think I remember starting and I was like, I'm going to lift a quarter using the Force. This is after. So I never did it when A New Hope came out, but after Empire came out, I was like, okay, this has got to be something within the realm of possibility, because Luke was able to do it on Dagobah. I'm not in Dagobah. I'm stuck in Michigan, but I'm pretty sure I can move something with the Force. And so I remember putting down like a quarter and trying to use the Force. And I tried forever. I couldn't do it. And I thought, okay, well, clearly this just weighs too much. So I'm going to go to a nickel. And so I put a nickel down, and then I went to a dime, and then I was trying to move like small rocks. And then it was like grains of sand when we went to the beach. And I was like, man, there's got to be a way. And I would do this. And again, I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, maybe 18. I don't know. But the point is, I was still trying to like lift things with the Force all my life and never really did it. And then, you play with the doors opened up at the supermarket. Everybody does the little hand up and it opens. And anytime I could find a way to like pretend using the Force, pretend I was using the Force, I certainly would do it. But I don't know. I guess this leads me into a more scientific question, though. And by scientific, I mean more science, a Star Wars scientific question. Where do you land on the idea of midichlorians, and why are you wrong? No, I'm kidding. Where do you land on the midichlorians?
Never heard of them. Yeah. No. Within what I knew of the Star Wars universe, when that came up, it's like it broke the rules. It was not supposed to be there. So, I mean, I could explain it away that, okay, they're not the cause, they're an effect, that midichlorians just happen to be attracted to strong Force users. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I think about it. But yeah, it's as bad as if you had a transporter in Star Wars. That would be awful.
Transporter. That's true. We don't have a transporter in Star Wars. I'm trying to think now if there's ever been anything like that. No, can't think of anything outside of using the Force, like in Rise of Skywalker, sending things over through over time and space through the Force. But
yeah, that follows the rules of the universe, so I'll buy that.
Okay, all right. But yeah, no, and midichlorians was so like you had to been there. Like it was a thing at the time when and it probably is a thing today, depending on who you're talking to and just how nerdy they are. But midichlorians was very controversial, very divisive when it first came out. It felt like people were complaining that Lucas was trying to explain something that didn't need to be explained, and it was dropped. Really, honestly, it was dropped until we got to almost literally the Book of Boba Fett, at least canonically, before it ever actually brought up again.
The M count, yeah.
The M count, right? But they didn't even say the word. They just had to do the M count. They didn't even want to say midichlorians. But I think people also forget too that it was more of an analogy for what was going on between the Gungans and the people of Naboo and their symbiotic relationship. It was supposed to be a reflective of the midichlorians. It was the whole lesson that Qui-Gon was telling. I think, to be fair, like I don't have a problem with it, honestly. Like, it's like whatever. I don't even care. But it probably could have gone without being told, and I totally understand where people felt like I'm being not necessarily robbed of anything, but it certainly changes my perspective on the Force, and it kind of pulls something away from it, which I totally understand, because it no longer felt like this truly mystical energy out there. It was more science-based than anything else. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, people had faith in the Force, and with proof, it denied their faith. So
yep.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if they continue to talk about midichlorians on anything here anytime soon, but that might be the end of it, honestly. Now that Grogu's kind of been established and we know he's Force sensitive, I don't see them bringing this up anymore.
I'm sure that'll be a major plot point of the movie coming out. Yeah.
I hope not, because I want that movie to do really well. So, all right. Well, let's wrap this up. I do want to do, so I've done this to a number of people that have come on to FACPOY over the years. And it is really just what we call the Force lightning round questions. And so it is literally 20 questions. It's meant to be quick, but I may stop you on some of these if I don't agree with your answers, because there are right answers to all of these. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
But I want to run you through these, and you can kind of, this will help us get to know you a little bit more, especially your Star Wars likes as well. So number one, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
A New Hope.
A New Hope. Okay. So that's good. Why do you put that over Empire? And I only say that because I know a lot of people from our generation usually have one or the other, and there's legitimate reasons why. But what, in your own words, or in your reason, why do you have that one above Empire?
I think because I saw it first, it was my introduction to the universe. Just had such an impact on me. That's my favorite. I would say Empire is the best, but A New Hope is my favorite.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough. What about favorite Star Wars novel?
So that's tricky. It's usually whatever I've last read. So when
Right.
Splinter of a Mind's Eye came out,
Yeah,
there was nothing for a long time. That was my favorite.
that was your favorite.
Yeah. And then with all the next set, Heir to the Empire, definitely.
Thrawn. Yeah.
Yeah. Of the new ones, I'd say Bloodlines. I love that one. Leia's story.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole High Republic series. That's the one I most like to start rereading back to Light of the Jedi.
Okay. Yeah, no, Light of Jedi. I have Heir to the Empire. I had that as my number one for a very long time. But then when Light of Jedi came out, and then dang it, what's the name of this stupid thing? The second book. I'm drawing a complete blank right now. When that book came out, that became kind of like my favorite of all time. So I kind of go back and forth between those two books now. But yeah, there was some really good stuff that came out of the High Republic.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And so I was, sad to see the Acolyte got canceled.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to all that.
I know. Well, that's another show. Whole nother show. We did a whole bunch of shows on that thing. But what about favorite Star Wars live action series? This is a new question because I think the last time we did this, there weren't that many out. But now we've got multiple. And this can be either a series as a whole, or if you want to answer it as a particular season only. Like I've heard a lot of people say, well, Mando season 1, but not necessarily Mando season 3 is my favorite kind of thing. So it's up to you. But what do you have as your favorite live action series?
I would say favorite Mandalorian, best Andor.
Okay. Yep. I think for me, it's Andor for both. Although I did love Mando season 1 and season 2, Andor is just like hit everything for me.
Andor's great. It's just hard to rewatch, man.
Oh yeah. What about your favorite Star Wars character that's not a Jedi or a Sith?
R2D2.
R2D2.
All the way. Yeah.
All the way. Wow. So was that is your answer influenced by your costume that your dad made you when you were 6 years old?
I guess so. I mean, he was always my favorite character. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So you were happy then when he came back and The Force Awakens, and then kind of all right. Yeah, he was a cool design. He was a cool action figure too, like the little clicking noise, and he looked weird. He didn't look like the actual one that we're supposed to have.
Like that one?
Yeah, like that guy right there. Yeah, which I don't know if you remember, but they actually brought that exact design into the Ahsoka series. So they did actually make a RT unit that looks just like that.
It looked like the figure. Yeah,
it looked like the figure, which was fun. Okay, R2D2. I'm gonna have to add that in there. I'm gonna put not a droid as well. But what about favorites Jedi?
So yeah, it depends where I am. I think originally it was Luke, of course. Then it was Yoda.
Okay.
I guess still Yoda. I might say Ahsoka, but she's not a Jedi, so I'll go with Yoda.
It's not anymore, at least by her own. She really is, though. What about Sith? You have a favorite Sith?
Again, it was always Darth with that action figure that had the Force. That was good. Yeah, and then I guess more recently I might say Ventress, but she's no longer a Sith as well. So Darth.
Yeah. Okay. Darth Vader. What color of Kyber crystal would call to you? So if you're on Ilum, what color do you think would be calling to you?
I think
it's blue. Your favorite because of A New Hope and what Anakin's or / Luke / Rey's lightsaber, or just like the color blue?
Both.
Okay, that's the origin. Yeah, there was something about I struggle on that one too because it's either going to be blue or green, and the only reason green comes into play is because of that scene on Jabba's sail barge when he calls when R2 shoots the green lightsaber and he pulls it out and ignites it in that whole dramatic moment. I mean, just legendary, so that was always kind of pulling me towards green, but I think I'm a blue guy as well. If you could fly any starship into battle, which would you choose?
Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. It's a good choice. You have a second by chance?
X-wing? I guess an X-Wing.
Yeah.
I always wanted to try to fly one of those.
Yeah. And they have a cool sound too. Love the hum. The hum of an X-wing is just puts me at ease, man. Puts me at home. If you could have a pint with any Star Wars character, who would it be?
Han Solo.
Han Solo?
He would be great to talk to. Yeah.
Yeah. He's probably got a lot of stories.
Love to hear his stories. Yeah.
Everybody knows on this show that I hate Maz Kanata with a passion. But she is someone who I think probably would be cool to have a beer with because you never know what she would tell you, right? She's got so many secrets and so many stories, but Han Solo is definitely in that realm as well. Okay, let's see. Favorite Mandalorian. And so, yes, for this question, I am considering the Fetts as Mandalorians, especially in light of what happened during the Boba Fett series. So
I would say Din Djarin.
Okay. I mean, for the longest time, it was Boba.
He was the only one.
Yeah, and he was the only one, right? Well, no, so there was Boba, and then like around the mid 80s when the role-playing game came out, there was another one. What was that Joker's name? His name was Jodo Cast, and he was like a wannabe Boba Fett, and so he was a Legends character, and so, but yeah, and then it wasn't until the prequels came out that we got Jango, and then now there's a lot of different Fetts, especially once we got to the Mandalorian series.
And the Clone Wars,
and Clone Wars as well. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, so, but yeah, Din Djarin. I mean, it's hard to argue that he's not one of the best ever because he's just been a great character. So good addition to our Star Wars lore. Okay, so you and I, this is question number 11. You and I are going to throw down with our Star Wars action figures. Let's go circa 1984. You get to pick your top 3 figures to fight against my top 3 figures. Yeah, I'll give you first pick. What are the first 3 figures that you're going to pick up?
Vader, because he's got the Force.
Because of the rubber bands. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yeah. Chewbacca, he's got pure strength.
Yeah.
And R2D2. If I need a tech, R2D2.
You're a man of your word. Yeah. Now, are those, when you played with your figures, were those 3 that you gravitated to all the time as your favorites, or was that just something you picked for the question only?
No, I always tried to pick those.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend and I would divide them up, and then we'd try to knock each other's down.
Mm-hmm. I think I don't remember. I've answered this question before, but I always liked. I'm almost positive IG-88 was one of them that I always picked up.
Ooh.
Just because I like the model, the way it looked. It's
cool. Mine never stood up right though.
And it had like the flat. It had like the square feet too, which was weird. But that one, the AT-AT driver, was always. I mean, I love that. That's my favorite. Well, I don't know. The Shore Trooper is like my second, probably my first or second favorite now. But between the Shore Trooper and the AT-AT driver, or AT-AT pilot, I would say, those are like definitely action figures. Like the AT-AT pilot was one that I always wanted to grab immediately. And then it was probably Boba Fett. I mean, he's just so cool out there. And so this would have been, circa 84. So definitely we would have had all of the characters from Return of the Jedi out as well. But those were mine. I think he'd win though, because you got a lot of brawn on your side. Rookies are hard to take down.
That's why I picked Chewbacca. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I did always want the Boba Fett that would actually shoot, though.
Oh, yeah.
Sad when they canceled that.
We got to find those. Good luck trying to find one. They're quite expensive these days. Who is the better non-force sensitive pilot? Han Solo, Poe Dameron, or is there someone else?
Han Solo.
Han Solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gotten through a lot of scrapes.
Yeah. I think if you ask my kids, they'll tell you it's Poe Dameron.
Really?
Yeah. And it's because of The Force Awakens in that one scene when Han Solo and Finn and Chewbacca they're on Takodana and they're all like prisoners to the stormtroopers. And suddenly you get the X-Wings kind of flying low over the water. And then Poe Dameron comes in and he shoots down. If you ever watch that sequence, I think we counted a total of 10 or 12 TIE fighters in the span of about 8 seconds that he takes out.
Wow.
It's just one shot, continuous shot of him kind of going around. And that's when Finn goes, whoa, that's one hell of a pilot or something like that. That scene for them is like gold. Like they just like, oh my God, Poe is like the most amazing pilot ever. And I've seen people debate this out on Reddit and that sort of thing. And he's definitely up there. Like, I don't know which one is actually better. I'm probably a Han Solo fan just because of my age, but Poe Dameron usually enters the conversation. And then once you bring in force sensitives, now you're talking about Anakin Skywalker and you're talking about Kylo Ren, who's not such a slouch either when it comes to piloting. So
yeah, for force sensitive, I'd go with Anakin.
Yeah. He's a great pilot, according to Kenobi. Who shot first?
Han.
Han?
Always and forever.
Always and forever. Or I've also heard he just shot, right? Because that was the original setting. But who gives the bigger creeper vibe? Jabba the Hutt or Maz Kanata? And there is a right answer here. I
definitely will say Jabba.
Well, Tim, it's great having you on. We'll see you later. Okay. No.
Maz doesn't bother me. I don't know.
She's just creepy, man. Like her advances to Chewbacca. I don't appreciate those whatsoever.
I mean, she's 1,000 years old or something.
She's like 800 or she's, I don't know, 600-700 years old. She's pretty up there. She might be even older. I forget now. I don't really pay attention to her character very much.
Age doesn't matter. Yeah.
No, it does. Trust me, it does. But she's pretty creepy. All right. Okay. Jabba's a legit answer. We'll take it, although it's wrong. If you could have any droid as your co-pilot, oh my gosh, why are we even asking this one? If you could have any droid as your co-pilot, who would it be?
R2.
R2. Okay. If you had to pick a side, light or dark, which side would you go with?
Light.
Light side? Good job. Good answer. All right. And this one I put in here for you because I know you're like a planet guy, right? But what is your favorite planet that you'd like to retire on someday? And I put in here, sorry, Alderaan, but it can be Alderaan too. Let's, if you want to, but. Yeah,
probably not Alderaan.
Can I guess what yours is?
Sure, guess.
I'm going to say Hoth.
No.
Okay.
Not Hoth.
You've had enough cold weather up in Chicago. I get it. All right, fair enough.
I got away from that. Yeah. Yep. I would like to visit Kashyyyk. I would like to visit Coruscant to get those two sides. I think as long as it still looks like a nice beach scene, Scarif would be nice if it's safe.
So before the Empire got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a very cool, one of the cooler environments. I still remember that. I don't know if you remember the Force Awakens, one of the promotional posters that they had where the stormtroopers are standing in the water. It looks like the Bahamas.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is a place I want to go to. Little did I know that it'd get blown to smithereens. So, okay. We're down to the last two questions here. Favorite lightsaber battle.
Ooh,
oh boy.
Yeah. I had to do some thinking on this one. Got a lot. I think I will go with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Okay, episode 3.
Yeah.
Or Kenobi.
No, yeah. Episode 3.
Okay, episode 3. All right.
Yeah. I rewatched them all, or a whole bunch of them.
Just to say, wow, really?
Yeah. I do like, the first time you see Yoda use the lightsaber against Dooku, that was just cool too.
The first time who did?
Yoda.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. And
then in episode 2?
Yeah, episode
Mhm.
2. And then episode 1, the Darth Maul battle, that was up there mostly because of John Williams' score.
Yeah.
It just become iconic. But I
Yep.
think of
Duel of
all of them,
Fates.
we were anticipating the Obi-Wan Anakin battle for
Years.
decades.
Right. Yep.
And they did not fall short.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that was something that, during the dark times, there was, I said dark ages earlier. I meant the dark times is what I meant to say. But the dark times during that span between 84 and 1990, I think is when Heir to the Empire came out. Whatever it was, that was something that I remember talking to my friends about and debating, that, and because it was all, we heard about it and it was in some of the scripts and stuff. It was all written out, but I mean, our minds just wandered into, because there were some of the things were still true, that there was a volcano planet, I think, or a planet of lava is the way it was written out. And so,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it was just, when it finally came to the big screen, I mean, it was just, it blew away my expectations, quite honestly, especially how long that battle was too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The other one that comes up and a lot of times more recently here too is like Ahsoka and Maul during season 5 of the Clone Wars, that last season.
Yeah.
That's a really good one because you had Ray Park come back doing, some of the stop animation, or not stop, but the motion cap.
Yeah.
Yep, that was really good. I thought some of the stuff from the Acolyte was really good. That whole fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the lightsaber whip. Yeah.
Yeah, which we only got to see her pull out, but one time. But yeah, like when they were fighting Kamir, it was Jackie, Kamir, Yord, and I think Soul was there as well. But that battle was really good. I mean, there's been a lot of really good fights over the years, but it feels like it's going to be hard to really knock the Empire or Episode 3 battle between Kenobi and Anakin off anytime soon.
Okay, I got the answer right.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, you're right on that one. All right, last question here. What is your Star Wars movie ranking? So I know this sucks, and I hate to do this to you, but I need you to rank the movies from worst to best. You can include Solo if you want. You can include the Clone Wars movie if you'd like. And this is the best and not the favorites. I want to make that distinguishing factor there.
Okay. All right.
So start with your worst or
I think just because,
and we're all friends here, man. It's okay. It's a safe space.
It's a safe space. Yeah. Even the worst Star Wars movie is better than a lot.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
I would probably go with episode 1, 2, and 3 as 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Just get those out of the way.
So you're saying 3 is the worst?
No.
And then 2, then 1?
1 is the worst.
Well, 1 is the worst, then 2, then 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Interesting.
I'll go with that.
All right.
And then of the others, this is hard.
I'm asking you to pick children now.
Yeah, it is. I'll say Last Jedi.
Okay.
Then Solo.
All right. Did you like Last Jedi, by the way?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It's
I'll bring you on another show and we can talk about it.
It's hard to pick children. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Last Jedi, then Solo.
Then Solo.
Yep.
Probably Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Then Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay.
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
A New Hope.
Time out. How old were you when, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when Jedi came out?
That was 13. Yeah.
13. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And again, yeah, the Ewoks, it was not a cool thing.
Oh, okay. That's it.
13.
Nope.
Yeah.
I get it. Nope. Yep. I get it.
It's down there. Yeah. So then, yeah, A New Hope, Rogue One, Empire.
A New Hope, Rogue One, Empire. Nice. Yeah, that's great.
It's hard to pick children. But,
I know. I've always said it's more like they're fractions. Like it's 9.1, 9.2, 9.3 rather than 7, 8, 9 for me.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I like Return of the Jedi. I really like Solo too. I really do.
Yeah.
Wish they would have made more of those.
I know. There's still a campaign out there to bring back Solo. And I don't know if we'll ever get the Danny Glover Lando series.
Yeah.
That seems like it's vaporware at this point, but we'll see. He's still out there talking about it at times, him and his brother. So hopefully they'll bring that to fruition at some point. But no, thanks for sharing that. I know it's difficult to do. Jonesy would always hate when I would make him rank anything because it's just not for me, it always felt like, I've said this before, it doesn't feel like a very Star Wars thing to do. Like our fandom doesn't necessarily take things and rank them, but other franchises, they rank stuff all the time, like favorite villain, favorite movie, favorite this. And I I don't know, it just feels like it's a taboo subject for Star Wars. So I'm really trying to push people into an uncomfortable area by asking them to rank their favorite movies. So.
Yeah, it is hard to rank them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tim, I appreciate you coming on, man. I need to get you back on here at some point so we can talk even more stuff. I mean, there's plenty of things to discuss, especially if you want to have that conversation about the Last Jedi and what happened with the fandom there. But I thank you so much for joining here. Thanks for coming on to the show.
My pleasure.
Where can people? What's that?
My pleasure. Yeah. I'll come back anytime.
Okay. Well, where can people find you if they want to follow you and your work?
So I am at Texas Space Grant Consortium, so tsgc.utexas.edu. You can find out all about our programs, scholarships, fellowships, internships, and all the cool things NASA's doing.
Okay. And I've got the link up there for those of you that are subscribed to the video portion of this Patreon episode. I've got the link in the bottom left-hand corner. You can visit there and see Tim's smiley face on some of those pages where he's doing lots and lots of great work for our science program and for the honestly, a lot of the youth that are involved in some of this stuff. It's crazy how bright and intelligent those guys are and what they're doing for us. So, okay, well, I'll end the show here. I want to just quickly remind everybody that next week we've got the Vader series coming up, or I want to talk about the Vader series, the Legacy of Vader. December 11th is Lauren and I doing Master of Evil. And then shortly, right before the 18th, that 10-year anniversary for The Force Awakens, I will be doing the first of several episodes based on The Force Awakens. So that'll be fun to discuss. I've got a lot of great stories that I want to share with what my experience was like going to that premiere and all of the discussion that came as a result of that. And by discussion, I mean some of the controversies as well that came as a result of that series. So thanks, guys, so much for joining us. Thank you guys so much for being Patreon members, and we will see you guys here on the next episode.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.